and welcome to Beyond the Badge. I'm Chief Travis Griffith. Today we have a very special guest. It's Assistant Chief Craig Thomason. Craig, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So a lot of people don't know this. Me and you were partners for about 5 years in special operations.
Yes, sir.
And that's where we got to know each other the most. And we'd been on patrol together before that.
Yes, sir.
So it's been a fun run, and nothing but great respect for you and your family. And so, in light of you accomplishments that you've just had recently, we wanted to bring you on and talk a little bit about you and who Craig is and your background, and then touch on some of the accomplishments from Lemet.
For sure.
So, you have been with the San Angelo Police Department for how long?
Nearly 18 years.
Okay. What assignments have you had in that time frame?
Of course, started out on patrol like everybody does, and then shortly after that is when I made special operations, where you and I were partners in the street for about 5 years.
The interesting part on special operations back then is that we worked kind of a street level narcotics. We worked gangs and guns. You want to kind of go into that assignment?
Yeah, it's probably one of my most favorite assignments that I ever had, because I mean, you're typically in plain clothes. You're out there kind of hunting the worst of the worst. You're solving problems that sometimes need more attention to solve the problem, whether it's burglaries, a graffiti, gang members, stuff like that. And you're typically in a pretty secretive fashion where you can kind of sneak up on people, and had some really good times in that unit.
You know, some people think that graffiti is like a low-level crime, like, it's just something you see on a fence. But me and you had some cases that were like felony, like across the entirety of businesses' walls, that were pretty immaculate.
Yes, and I mean, I was pretty sure one of them went to prison for graffiti. That's how heinous, if you will, his artwork was.
Yeah. Just complete disregard for people's property, and it's interesting to even think about stuff like that. But I mean, we had cases with gang members that were involved in assaults and targeted assaults, and so it was
a really good time, fun time, and I believe we got a lot of good police work, and put a lot of bad guys in jail, and just help people.
Yeah. And so you started in 2008.
Yes, sir.
San Angelo Police Department, and rolled through until about 2015 or so. Is that when you promoted?
2015, I went to narcotics for about a year as a detective, and then got promoted out of narcotics to sergeant.
I forgot about that a little bit of time, because I left in 2014 or 15 to be a sergeant, and then y'all kind of merged, I guess, with or was that a merger, or how'd that work?
That was promoted to sergeant, went back to special operations as the supervisor over it, and then shortly, about 2016, we merged narcotics and special operations to create the street crimes division.
And that was because during that time frame, you'd worked time as a narcotics detective, and then you had your time as a detective in special operations, and then whenever you promoted, you had that the skills to kind of bring those together.
Yes, sir. And we were just a manpower issue back then too, kind of like we're dealing with now. We just combined the two units to set us up for more success.
Yeah, we were talking the other day, like, I don't know that we've ever had a time frame that we were ever full, where we ever had the staffing we need.
Yeah, it's accurate. Yeah.
A lot of fun times in special operations. Then you promoted. You spent how long as a sergeant?
2015 to 2019, I promoted to lieutenant.
Okay. And you went from that lieutenant position, was that on patrol, or what was that?
I was over initially day shift patrol, but then did that for about a year, and was over a night shift patrol in the anti-crime unit, which was very similar to the special operations unit we worked together.
That's where I was at, and then the anti-crime for a little while too. Yep, a great time working kind of hand in glove with y'all guys at that time frame. It was a lot of interesting times to be kind of reunited after we hadn't spent that much time together because of just the directions inside the department. But I guess for that 2017, 18 time frame where we started kind of working together a lot.
I would have been a sergeant in street crimes.
Yep. And again, some crazy stuff there when we're working in hand in hand. That those two divisions worked really well together. It was some good times.
It was.
Yeah.
Good cohesiveness for sure.
And so you are from kind of near Kerrville. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I grew up in a little town outside of Kerrville called Center Point.
Yeah.
Graduated from Center Point High School. ASU is what brought me to San Angelo. But growing up, farming, ranching kind of deal, and had a good time growing up. Blessed, for sure.
Is Centerville a 12-man football team or 6-man?
Center Point said it's 12.
12-man.
Well, we were about a 1A and a 2A, depending on the time frame.
Okay.
Back then.
What's their mascot?
Pirate.
The Pirates. Okay, Centerville Pirates. Okay.
We said 12 man, 11 man.
Yeah.
11 man.
That's I'm always interested in different mascots across Texas.
It's an interesting one. Not the best one, but
I mean,
it worked.
They were in the center of it all, I guess, Rob.
Oh yeah,
Center point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you came to San Angelo for ASU.
Yes, sir.
What'd you study there?
Initially business.
Okay.
And then shortly thereafter changed it to criminal justice.
Okay. And in that time frame, you decided, hey, I want to be the police. How'd that happen?
Actually, I met former Chief Carter. He's a lieutenant at the time at the gym, and I was doing the criminal justice thing, and he was the lieutenant on the police department. Did a ride along, and I was sold.
That was it.
I was like, this is where I need to be, and I did. I dropped out of college.
Yeah.
Parents weren't super thrilled with that, but I ended up going back and finishing that up. So
sure. Yeah. At San Angelo State University.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So finish that degree. And that's what's interesting is sometimes when you find your why, you just know what it is, right?
And that was kind of the turning point there. I thought being a police officer was what I wanted to do, but that ride along, I remember it to this day, and that I was like, this is where I need to be, and here I am.
Yeah.
18 years later.
On the ride along, do you remember who you rode it with?
I do. It was Hank Heathcock.
Hank Heathcock, right? Yeah. He was a long-term narcotics investigator here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good guy.
And I got to work in narcotics with him as well before he left. Yeah.
And I always think that maybe we romanticize it a little bit, but when you go back to when you first on patrol, things were a little bit more lax. We didn't have all this quite as a regulation. So going back to that early time frame on patrol was almost like a different world. And
it really was.
Yeah. Not that we were doing anything, crazy wrong or anything. It's just that it was a different, what was required reporting wise and what you have to do to complete cases was, you could do a quick turnaround.
Yeah, paperwork was not what paperwork is today.
Yeah. It wasn't unusual for you to catch, 3 or 4 cases a night and still be out there arresting bad guys.
Right. Now that, the paperwork, it takes time.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's cool. So you decided this is it. You pull the trigger. You're having a conversation with your family. How'd that go? Like, they're just like,
I mean, my mom wasn't super thrilled. My dad was proud.
Yeah, there you go.
He was good with it.
And I know your mom, and after that, like once she saw what it did in your life and how it changed you for the better, I know, she was super proud.
Oh, she's my number one fan.
For
sure.
Yeah. So for those that might be watching or listening to the podcast, what would you tell somebody that's thinking about getting into law enforcement or something like law enforcement?
I'd say it's an amazing job. It's hard to put into words. I mean, the ability, the effect you can have on someone's life, especially the good side of it, being a public servant and going out there and helping people. Where I think helping people is also fighting evil.
Yep.
But I mean, there's so many things to do in law enforcement in regard to the specialized, especially at the San Angelo Police Department. You can be a CID detective, a narcotics detective, a canine handler. So many different things to do, but just able to serve people, and it feels good, especially, and you may not think it at the time, but 10 years later when you run into somebody, even somebody you arrested, that was like, you treated me like a human. You took me to jail, and they reflect and they're like, yeah, I deserve that, but you treated me right. And that stuff like that, the good, arresting somebody, or just the good stuff you do for people that you don't do it for the recognition, and then you'll run into them later and they're just thankful for that. And it's those little feel good moments that make you know that you're in the right career for sure.
Yeah. And I think also key things that to add to that is like the mentors that we had. Todd Dornhecker was our supervisor when we were in special operations. We had Chris Chapa was our partner, but kind of like an older brother like thing for us. And having different Doug Thomas, right, was a big influence there.
Greg Keeling.
Yeah, Greg Keeling. Yep. Having those folks be able to kind of provide a little bit of a blueprint. We talked a little bit about this with Lieutenant Byrd. He was on the first podcast and just talking about the importance of representing yourself in a not only in a professional manner, but like that is in line with who you've been called to be, and how important that is. And how you learn that from those mentors.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's been a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's been fun. We've been blessed and had got a chance to do a lot of cool stuff.
We did.
So you decide I'm doing this, you go to the academy. How many people are still from the academy that you went in 2008, roughly?
And back then the academy consisted of some COG folks.
Yeah.
From the Council of Governments. They were sponsored by other agencies.
Yep.
I want to say there's about don't quote me, but 15 probably total.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 10, 11 of those were PD.
Yeah.
And there's only, you got Sergeant LaJoy, Detective Stewart, Officer Gonzalez, but I want to say those are the
That's it.
only few that are still left of us.
Yeah, we have a wall at the old academy that has pictures of each group, and it's interesting that whenever you have in-service training and you get back up there, at how many people go and look at their academy picture and see that they're the only one or only 2 or 3 people that's in the whole group that's left.
And most of them left for other law enforcement endeavors.
Yeah.
Still stay in touch with a few of them.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those moments, but you're sad to see them go, especially because a lot of our best have gone to other places, right? It's sad to see them go, but at the same token, you're glad to see them continue, and you respect the fact that they're being their best at those other locations.
Right. I mean, they've got a family. They've got. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can't be upset when somebody leaves. You hate it. You don't like seeing it, but you still you got to support them, right? I mean, they're doing it for a reason, and if you're truly a friend of theirs, then yeah, you support their decision. A little selfishly though, you're like, man, I don't want you to go, but I get it.
Because you miss them, right? You miss working with them. I think, you know, we talked a lot about iron sharpening iron, right? That whenever you're with somebody that is working at a high level, that has high drive, that is out there truly trying to make a difference, that whenever that leaves, it's a void.
Yep, and they're still there. We've had a couple of great ones leave to go to DPS. They're now back, and they're working with the PD together, and it's just meshing even better. And I'm glad they could come back.
I think the interesting thing too, that as we've gotten into our career further along, that we're now able to look back and see how people have progressed and to see where they were when they started to where they are now, which a lot of those guys are now leaders inside of our organization. You want to talk a little bit about like some people, to be specific, but like the developing the leaders for tomorrow that you've seen already and that are still here.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a few that I can think of that when you first meet them, you're like, I don't know about this guy, but then throughout your career with them, taking them not kind of under your wing, right?
Right.
And getting them, whether just making suggestions and just giving them advice. And I've had people do the same for me that I'm so incredibly thankful for. But it is cool to watch kind of the growth of people that you've been with throughout your entire career.
And it's just so important to be able to be mentored and to be the one that's mentoring someone else, right? I think that's one thing that we've focused on with our direction, right, from an administrative direction, that we want to see people be the best that they can be, and we've devoted a lot of time and energy into making sure we develop those that are in leadership. And
so paramount.
I think that kind of leads into your face is a little bit out there this week, all right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A bit.
You just
a little uncomfortable, but yeah.
Right. You just finished up a program. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so back in 2020, this is kind of a side story here. And back in 2020, I just made lieutenant. It's actually probably 2019. And somebody told me to apply for this LEMIT, Leadership Command College, which LEMIT's the Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas's Leadership Command College. That person was actually Sergeant Griffith at the time. Okay. And I knew nothing about it. And I think that just further proves your passion to just better people. And it's one of the best things that I've ever done probably in my career training wise. There's no doubt. So that program, to kind of go into a little bit about it, it's a 9-week total program, 9 weeks total, divided into three week modules. The first one being at Texas A&M, second one at Texas Women's in Denton, and then the third one finishing up at Sam Houston State in Huntsville. Throughout those courses, it's big on leadership, big on ethics, and big on networking. I know, like at Texas A&M, I don't believe any of our professors, they're mostly PhDs, none of them were law enforcement, but they molded the leadership tactics that they know around law enforcement. And that was kind of cool seeing it from a business standpoint and other HR standpoint, and then kind of molding it to law enforcement. Kind of just reinstilling those values, big on communication courses, and just kind of getting you better prepared to be an executive or a command staff type position.
And I think that's like you can speak a little bit to like the depth of that. It's not like you're doing a light day of work type thing. You're in it for that 3 weeks. You're doing a lot, and then also it's kind of the equivalent of how many college credits for a bachelor's versus a.
It's 12 for a bachelor's and 6 for a graduate degree is what you'll be awarded upon completion.
Yeah, so basically you're jamming 9 weeks of work, right? That would be that equivalent of a full load at college.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's uncomfortable at times. It gets you out of your comfort zone for real. I mean, you're writing a white paper. You're doing a research paper that's ultimately kind of challenged, if you will, by a board of PhDs on the final module.
So go a little bit more in depth into what exactly white paper. What do you mean by that, and kind of roll into.
I
don't know what that is.
It's a research paper. All the sites, all that fun stuff that you used to do in college or do in college. It's a research paper is what it ultimately is, and you become kind of a subject matter expert in that particular field, whatever it may be. Mine was on real-time crime centers, something that I think we're passionate about here, and I kind of wanted to. I knew a bit about real-time crime centers, but I wanted to become kind of an expert, if you will, and that's what I did mine over.
And it's not like you just like can make up your research, right? Because you're going to have to defend that research, and it's ultimately published, right?
Yes.
So like you can't just willy-nilly throw some stuff in there. You have to really know what you're talking about.
It's published, and you have to have, I think it's over 10 sites from legitimate research papers and manuals and journals and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's work for sure. Makes you really use your brain.
And ultimately, it makes you more prepared to come back and know more about what a real-time crime center does. And, if you want to, you probably have some prepared lines off of that. What is a real-time crime center?
Real-time crime center it's a centralized hub where police use live video data and technology to monitor, respond to, and investigate crime as it happens.
Yeah, so not Big Brother. We're not just watching people trying to commit crimes, right?
Not at all. And then there's that transparency kind of cog of it where you have to be transparent. You don't want government overreach. You need oversight. You need audit logs. You need all that stuff to make sure that people's rights aren't infringed on, right? You want a good investigative stuff from it, but you've also got to toe that line of interfering too much.
So it's big balance, but mainly the concept is that you're going to, at the time of a robbery or a hit and run crash or whatever might be happening, you're going to try to find video that might be close by that you can source live at the time of it, or maybe a drone, or maybe a license plate reader, or something that can help you find that person quicker.
Yep. And it just depends on, you can use the pan tilt zoom cameras or CCTVs. There's cloud-based technology now with Axon Fusus where you can remote into, say, a business's cameras with their consent when something like that is happening, when crime is occurring. Kind
of like a digital crime watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful seeing other agencies, real-time crime centers, where something, a shooting happens in a parking lot where they're remoting into those cameras within seconds of that call dropping, watching the suspect, shooting at people, relaying that information to officers as they respond. In one incident in particular out of Beaumont, I mean, they watched the suspect get into his vehicle and drive off, and they were able to quickly apprehend him.
And I think that's key in something like in Beaumont. Normally you wouldn't know that, or it'd be filtered through a very chaotic witness that just saw something terrible happen.
And how digestible is that information? Is it clear? Is it understandable? Are they actually seeing the suspect as they're probably hunkered down? If somebody's firing off rounds in a parking lot, they're probably not really watching that closely. They're getting cover. So yeah, it's a game changer. And public safety is, the public safety aspect of it's huge.
Yeah, and it's almost like trained witnesses, right? So like people that are able to watch this from another angle, that are outside of the adrenaline dump that someone just had, that can see and relay the information to the police. Because if that's not there, then that guy gets in the car in Beaumont and just keeps driving. We would never know because we don't have any assets to a police officer.
And is someone getting a license plate? Are you going to be able to see that license plate on that video that you would review an hour after the fact? It's a game changer for sure.
I would say that it's probably, as you balance, because you don't want a large government Big Brother type thing, but you do want to be able to leverage technology for the betterment of public safety and resource management.
Absolutely. And in technology, everything's technology nowadays. Everybody seems like has a Ring camera, they got their phone. There's ability now to call 911 and have a dispatcher view your camera. You give the dispatcher access to the camera on your phone to view what they're viewing. And I think you have to harness that technology to to our advantage to solve crime and keep San Angelo a safer place.
And if you do that, right, if you're able to get that information sooner, then there's no question about, make and model of vehicles. You can narrow down what you're looking for. A lot of times in San Angelo right now, if you had something happen at 19th and Bryant and they went north from 19th and Bryant, then we would have to have almost all of our resources just go try to flood that area and try to find for whatever description that was given of that vehicle or person, right? And just kind of luck of the draw, and hopefully we find something.
Kind of a chance encounter where if you've got enough license plate readers and cameras, you can kind of track that vehicle throughout your town after they've committed some crime.
Yeah. And for the purpose at the time of the crime, right?
Right, at the time of the crime, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it.
It's some of those things we've been looking at, and through the knowledge that you gained through
you got to think a lot like Amber Alerts. If there's an Amber Alert put out on a vehicle where a child's in danger, when that vehicle passes a license plate reader, it's gonna alert law enforcement
right away.
Silver Alerts. A grandma with dementia, drives off in a car. Well, we want to find her as quickly as possible, and these license plate readers and cameras really aid that.
And one of the things that we run into is everything from vehicle theft, trailer theft, people that might be involved in crime that we know who they are, but when we have limited resources, I think a lot of people think that, we have like 30 cops just driving around all the time in San Angelo, and it surprises them when they hear it's very few, right?
Right, and they're on call. A lot of them are on call. They're taking calls for service. Yeah.
And so when you start trying to talk about being able to see a stolen vehicle or a stolen trailer or somebody that's involved in a crime, if you have some of these things in place that you can actually get that information to a unit that can get over there and try to stop them or arrest them. Or
get someone their vehicle back, get someone's grandma back. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is just helping the public. And like I said, education and transparency are key to
100%
for the public. I mean, we can't be hiding stuff. There's got to be some sort of way to monitor the police.
Yep. And I think that's one thing that when we took office, we started looking for checks and balances and, trust but verify type thought process to make sure that we're doing things the right way, and knowing that when you do the right way, we're going to support you all the way, right? We want good police work, and we want people out there doing what they should be doing.
Yeah, accountability is key.
Yeah. And so that just is another thing to add to that toolbox, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you went to all these different modules, and what do you think was your biggest takeaway from the program? What do you think that does for San Angelo?
Well, I mean, the biggest takeaway, I mean, I'd like to think that I've worked on my leadership skills throughout my career, but this kind of just reinstilled. At the end of the day, I don't think leadership's rocket science, right? I mean, you take care of your people. It's not that you're in charge. I think you've said that before. It's not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. It's about taking care of your people, getting them the resources they need to efficiently do their job, and just treating them like humans, holding them accountable. That's probably one of the harder cogs of leadership is accountability. Nobody likes someone getting in trouble, but it has to happen. And to be a good leader, you have to hold people accountable.
Yeah, fairly hold people to account, because if you have somebody that doesn't get the same punishment or similar punishment once something happens, then the other person feels like, that's unfair.
Right.
It causes distension in the ranks.
You have to be fair with it. And you just, at the end of the day, I mean, you got to be selfless. At the end of the day, it takes time, I believe, to be a good leader.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just turn it on, turn it off. It's got to be all the time.
Would you say that it's a perishable skill or trait?
I believe it is, yes. And that's one thing that I guess Lemet really did, was kind of just reinstill the character traits of leadership, the selflessness, the compassion, things like that.
Yeah, I think about it like in times in life that when things happen, or when you go to programs or whatever it might be, that you can recenter your priorities and come back to what it is. It's almost like if you take a axe or something like that, and you're using that axe a lot, right? If you don't take time to sharpen it, then the work starts getting harder.
And that's one thing that Lemet, that Leadership Command College, really did.
Yeah.
And just being around other leaders, and it just seeing how much they care about their people.
How many people have gone to this program?
I want the number for Texas law enforcement. 2% of Texas law enforcement have graduated from Lemet. Yeah,
that's an impressive number.
I mean, it's state funded too, so that's another perk. Especially, I know we're pushing to get some of our supervisors and leaders through this course, and it takes time. Because I was saying back in 2020 is when I applied, and I finally got to start going in 2025.
Yeah,
so there's a wait,
but
it's getting your foot in the door and just just trying to better yourself, be better today than you were yesterday type mentality. And I think we'll all be okay if we would all use that old adage.
Yeah, for sure. So we want to say thank you for all the hard work you did on that, man. Like, because I mean, it takes time, dedication, and you have to be really in that. You can't halfway be in that program. You have to be in it all the way.
And another just key piece I took away was the networking. The officers that you meet from all over the state. You've said it numerous times. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, if a buddy I know now he's now my buddy that I met in these modules from Arlington or Frisco or Pecos, I mean, anywhere you can reach out to these folks. We have group chats where somebody will send a text out, hey, has anybody ever dealt with X or Y or Z, and somebody usually has. And that's huge there, the networking side of it. And
it goes back to the iron sharpening iron.
Absolutely.
Especially when you surround yourself with people that are smarter and better, and it's going to automatically bring you up.
For sure. Like I always say, you don't have to be the smartest man in the room. You just got to have the smartest man in the room standing next to you.
There you go. There you go. So you congratulations on that, and we thank you so much for it. I want to jump back into, we went a little bit on a right turn there, but go back to your career. So you make lieutenant. What year was that?
2019.
Okay. So 2019, you make lieutenant. What assignments did you work through over the last from then till now?
So I initially went to day shift patrol as a lieutenant.
So people that don't know what a lieutenant is in the San Angelo Police Department, what do they do?
So they're the commander of the shift. They have sergeants, they have officers. They run the shift. They're the end all be all, if you will, of any issues that may arise. The lieutenant answers at that time to an assistant chief, but they're the leader of that division. They have a lot of say in and how things go. And like for me, it was, my sergeants were so important to me. Use their skills, use their abilities to get these officers the training they need, anything they need. And it's kind of like a family. It is like a family. Your division's kind of your family. Right. Everybody's got a personality, and it's trying to run that division as smoothly as possible, and is with integrity at the forefront.
Yeah. I think just add a little bit more to that. They're kind of like anything that's going on in San Angelo at any given time, there's going to be somebody that's in charge of that. And
right. If there's a critical incident, if there's something like that commander or lieutenant's going to show up and kind of take the scene until an actual critical incident commander shows up. But yes, they're responsible for the entirety of the city at the time.
So it's a lot. And so
it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. And you were on daytime, so you're
about a year.
Lieutenant, and you did that for a year,
and then went to nights.
And what's the difference between a nighttime lieutenant versus a daytime lieutenant?
I'll say nighttime lieutenant was a blast.
Yeah,
it's typically your younger folks that just want to go out there and fight crime, help people, and it was an enjoyable time in my career.
I think you also, it's not that there's nothing. It's not a bad thing against the daytime people. It's just they've had people develop them and work through them and get them to where they're at. And the younger folks on nights are looking to you more.
You could really mold them. You can really mold them and be that mentor, that leader that they need. And I still chat with some of mine, just officers that worked for me. It was a really good time.
It's always fun when you're on patrol and you get to be able to see somebody that's brand new, and then just even the year mark and the 2 year and then the 5 year to see how much they've developed and who they are.
Yeah, because that growth's huge and it takes time.
Yeah,
it's hard to find the same police call, right? Like any call you go to is going to be probably different than the one you took before, right?
Yeah,
and it takes time to build that base of being a good cop.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, you see these recruiting videos where people like, blowing up doors and kicking in stuff and, driving fast. Like, do you think that that's a fair representation of the?
No, not at all. I mean, there's crime to be fought, right? But at the end of the day, our license says, what does it say? It says peace officer, right? We're public servants, and we should act like that. You should be able to go out there and fight evil, but there's so many opportunities to help people because you're dealing with people on their worst days, right? Yeah. Typically, nobody's calling a patrolman to tell them how good they're doing, or it's usually something bad's happened, and you're dealing with that. You're seeing some of the most horrendous stuff you can even imagine. So
you're dealing with the worst of people, right? Worst of humanity in their worst situation.
Right. Someone who just became a victim of something. Somebody just stole $1,000 from them. That's huge for them at that time, right? That's in their opinion. That's one of the worst days of their life. Mm-hmm. And then you're dealing with fatality accidents, God forbid, children. Mm-hmm. It can take a toll for sure.
And that's the hard part that people don't understand is like you think, well, it's not your kid or it's not your family member, but seeing the pain that is brought forth in these terrible situations, it's hard to get to shake that off, right?
For sure. I can think of an incident we responded to when we were in special operations that involved a child that I still see in my head to this day. It's not something I don't want to peel that scab off, but yeah, right. We see police officers. The public has to understand that police officers see things that no human rarely ever sees. I don't know what the data is on how many critical incidents a normal citizen deals with in their lifetime, but it's below 5, where a police officer deals with hundreds.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially depends on where you're at. But I think for San Angelo, people think that we're the biggest little town in Texas, right? And it's just a small town feel. But I mean, we have real crime here, right?
We do,
and real things we have to face.
Bad things happen. I mean, it's also giving your officers the resources to cope with the things that they've seen. And I'm proud of some of the programs that we've got going now in regard to officers being able to talk to people and work through the horrible things they have to see. So that's something that you're doing that's just amazing.
Yeah, I think it's a definitely team aspect, but thank you for that. But what we're seeing is we're working through, we won't go too far down the rabbit hole, but it's a program where officers can anonymously speak to a professional kind of at their leisure in person.
And he's awesome. He's from here, and I'm not gonna say his name, but he does a heck of a job, and it's the anonymity is what's nice, because of course there's stigma there, right?
Right.
Before, I remember back when I was a lieutenant, if an officer is having a problem, well, the sergeant knows, the lieutenant knows, the assistant chief, everybody knows.
Yep.
Where now the officer's got his phone number and can call him at any time.
And then be able to set up a meeting with them, be able to talk things out. And I think that's also key when you have somebody that has life experience, that has the pedigree behind it, so to speak, that we see that really gives them that, puts them at ease.
Also, and just that, as a lieutenant, being cognizant about, I know Officer A just saw or had to dealt with this horrible situation, and pulling them aside and talking to them, because everyone, I'm a tough cop, right? Well, we're still humans, and it's, as a leader, I think you have to be able to read your people and know what they just dealt with, and get them help if they need it.
Yeah, that's well said, man. But yeah, so you spend some time on nights. What happens after that? You're a night lieutenant. What year is this?
This is 2020 to 2024-ish, mid 2024, and then took the assistant chief role in mid 2024 in July.
So assistant chief, so that was the ranks we had at the time. We had sergeant, lieutenant, and then assistant chief of police.
Yes, sir.
So you took that role, and tell me about what you do there.
Man, it's night and day. I will say it's night and day. You're not out in the field anymore, but I do like to get in a patrol car, put a uniform on, and go out there and try to keep my skills as sharp as they can. I always say that these patrol officers know way more than I about being out there on the street in 2026.
Right.
But just going out there and being amongst them. But now it's more of an office role, but you're in a position now. I feel like I'm in a position now where I can really get folks what they need. It's easier to get them what they need the higher up you go, right? And just listening to them too. And I know you started the STAR team, right? What is strategic thinking and reasoning team, right? To a board of officers that can come up with ideas and have those ideas actually be listened to and put into play if need be.
Yeah,
but it's a different animal for sure. I'm enjoying it though. I'm learning a lot about municipal government and all the policies and rules that come with it. Yeah. It's been a challenge, but it's been a good challenge. And if you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing, right?
Yeah.
So it's been, I miss the streets, but it's good.
Yeah.
Blessed for sure.
How many meetings do you have a day?
And I lost count. It's the old joke there of I've got meetings all through the day. Well, when do I do my real work, right? Like before work or after work, I mean, but no, it's good. I feel like we've really moved the department in the right direction, especially in regard to transparency, accountability, professional development, actually pushing training on your folks.
Yeah.
Because that's key in this profession. You have to regularly train.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the kind of the jiu-jitsu stuff we're doing with cadets now, and even opening up to the department where we're training more defensive tactics more often in the academy to keep those skills are perishable.
And we're trying to instill that into them so that way they'll keep training it. We'd like to see some sort of a stipend and some fitness incentives and things in there, but we're still working through trying to get those through the cogs of the wheels of government.
For sure. And I can tell you, I've seen it with officers that are doing it on their own, jiu-jitsu on their own, where before they would deal with force. They would use force in one manner, not necessarily wrong,
Right.
but now they're dealing with it in a more calm and collected manner. They're controlling somebody with the skills that they now possess because they train regularly. And at the end of the day, that's key.
I think that there's a difference between, well, I was just listening to a podcast the other day, my immense amount of free time, driving to work. They were talking about the stress and anxiety, and that anxiety lowers that whenever you have competency.
Absolutely. You're not getting that amygdala dump whenever that all of a sudden, you're fighting somebody, you're calm, you're collected because you've dealt with this 100 times in training, right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see, especially what I witnessed as a lieutenant on some guys that were training, and I would review their uses of force and just the change for good that I saw. So
it truly is night and day. And when you look at the difference between what we're allowed to do, right? You're allowed to pull out your ass baton and hit somebody, right? You're allowed to do strikes on somebody. Those look pretty violent, right? I mean, like, it doesn't.
It may be lawful, but it looks awful, right?
Right. As opposed to someone that is trained in manipulating joints and the human body.
Leverage and control it. If you know what you're doing, can do a whole lot, especially on an untrained human, right? If I have to go, if of course training's a thing, and if somebody else is trained, I feel like I should be trained just the same or want to get to that level, right?
Yeah.
That's why, I sit behind a desk most days, but I still try to stay sharp because I'm still a police officer and I may be eating lunch somewhere and something happened, right? So keeping that sword sharp for sure.
Yeah. So you have been assistant chief for a year and a half?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a little bit more than that. And you have accomplished a lot already going through this training and just building the relationships with the new people that are under your command. What is your next endeavor? What's your hope? What are you trying to do?
I don't know. You empower your people, right? To make calls and to do as they see fit, which is huge. As a leader, as in your position for sure. But I don't know what the future holds. I mean, I'm still learning my job. I mean, I'm learning every day. I want to get. I don't know if I'll ever stop learning. You'll always be learning, but I really don't know what's next. The role that you're in right now is not. I see you do it every day, and I don't know how you do it. And you do it so amazingly well that this community is 100% blessed to have you.
Well, thank you for that, and I contribute that to the grace of God and a wonderful team every time.
And that's kind of my future. We'll see where the Lord takes me, and I feel I'm strong in my faith. I fail, everybody fails, but keeping strong. I've got an amazing wife at home that supports me. Yeah. I mean, she's amazing.
Well, that will roll into us talking about your family a little bit if you want to. I mean, what is behind the badge? So you share what you feel comfortable sharing. But so what outside of all the amazing things we've talked about makes Craig?
Family. Family's huge. I don't have kids. Most people know that, and they're like, "Really?" Been married about a little over 15 years to an amazing woman. We have a dog named Gus. He's pretty awesome. But I mean, brothers. My brothers. I had two parents that were. I don't know where I would be without them, honestly. They instilled the ethics and the hard work and just, I don't know, they're amazing human beings. Yes. And I was blessed to have them the time that I did here.
I was blessed to be able to know them.
Yes,
yeah, they were amazing people.
And then my brothers, I stay close with them. My wife and I, we like to travel.
Yeah.
We travel pretty regularly. Sometimes, you probably like, he's not at work. He's off in some other state or something. But
you need that downtime. I need you to be sharp for sure.
If only you would abide by that, right?
You'll get there eventually.
But no, she's big into real estate, and we just enjoy being together, doing stuff together, whatever that may be. I call us hermits sometimes. We like to just be at the house by ourselves, with the dog. But yeah, that's pretty much the family in a nutshell.
Yeah, and you got some pretty amazing brothers. I've got to meet them over the years. Teachers.
Yep, both of them were teachers. One of them has since gone into another career, but yes, they both have. They have kids, so I've got nephews and nieces, and that keeps the wife and I plenty occupied.
I think I called you the other day, and you were playing video games with one of them. Right?
I was, and he was throwing a tantrum because he was losing. Yeah, we're working on that,
Congratulations.
I beat a 7-year-old. Cool. They're fierce though, man. They talk a big game, but then when you give it back to them, it's we're working on that.
Yeah. Well, that's molding those nephews, right?
For sure, 100%. You got to build them up.
So, Is there anything that we haven't covered that makes Craig Craig? I know we know that you're big into fitness, right? And you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of with the control tactics and jiu-jitsu side of it, you've got to be. I mean, we're here to serve the community, right? And I feel that every officer should be in the best shape of their lives to accomplish that, right? I mean, it goes, and we can go into the physiology of it, about in regards to how you handle stress. And it's a great stress reliever.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd be like if I didn't work out before work, right? Like, I mean, it gets me mentally prepared for the day to get that blood flowing, and it's key in law enforcement for sure, and just for your mental well-being, if anything. Yeah.
You read a lot.
I try.
Yeah. And any new books that you'd recommend out there to anybody? Anything that you're
I mean, my absolute most favorite book is Fearless, the Adam Brown story. That's probably my most favorite book. But
amazing testimony.
Your Jocko books, your The Economy of Leadership, Extreme Ownership are big ones.
That's a good one.
Simon Sinek. I know you're a big Simon Sinek fan, right? I may be butchering his name, but Leaders Eat Last. That's another good one. Yeah, I've kind of gotten more to the audible side of it now, instead of
time management.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But those are a couple that stick out to me that have helped me through my leadership journey.
Yeah. Any advice that you would offer to anybody, whether they're going to law enforcement, they're in college, whatever it is, life advice in general that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, like I said earlier, be better today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
A failure is only a failure when you quit trying. Look at failures as an attempt. You learn. Nobody learns anything really from their successes. They learn from the process of failing to get where they got, right? That's where leaders are made, is learning from their mistakes.
Yeah.
And being better for them. So yeah.
Well said.
Keep going at it, don't stop, don't give up.
Well said. Well, we're going to wrap up and say thank you to you, the audience. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Craig, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And it's just a wonderful time for us to be able to highlight the men and women of the San Angelo Police Department and those that are in and around the world of law enforcement. So thank you for the opportunity.
And just one thing, just this community. I didn't mention that throughout this whole time. The community that we work for, that we serve, is so freaking awesome.
Best.
Like it is the best. I couldn't see myself policing anywhere else. So a big thank you to the community for the support that they give us.
100%. I think that is an important aspect of how wonderful. How many times have somebody bought your meal or said thank you? You can't hardly go.
I can't go anywhere with any sort of police insignia on without somebody saying thank you. And that was another thing, like on night shift.
Yeah.
Typically, you're out there dealing with a different dynamic of person.
Yeah.
And I would always tell those guys, y'all don't know how it is when I was the day lieutenant and you'd be out in a uniform during the day, and just just how thankful people are and how blessed we are to serve this community.
Yeah. That's a great point. I'm glad you said that. And so to you, thank you, Angelo. Thanks for being the amazing citizenry that you are. And thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on Beyond the Badge.